So what happens when you force Warframe and Destiny 2 to have a baby, and then you take that sweet, precious little child and you whack it in the face with a hammer? The First Descendant's what you get. The First Descendant is the latest in a long line of disappointing looter shooters that are very heavily, quote unquote, inspired by, and by inspired by, I mean steals from, Warframe and Destiny 2. The fingerprints of these two behemoths of the online shooter genre are all over the First Descendant, like to a concerning degree. Like, I feel like I need to call the cops. The whole game feels like when you let your friend copy your homework, but you tell him to change things just a little bit, but the same friend also got half of his answers from a different friend. And so in the end, his homework is just all mixed up and confused, and the answers aren't lining up like they should. This entire game just feels like one big identity crisis. And so that's why I want to talk about it. And so, as with every game that I'm going to review, every game that I talk about here, I'm going to rate the First Descendant using three different categories. First will be rated on its story, second, rated on its gameplay, and third, rated on its price. So, let's start this conversation with the story, or it'd be better to say the lack thereof. I mean, technically speaking, there is a story here, but it's so boring, so nonsensical, and it is used as just a device to move you from purple marker to purple marker, doing open world task after open world task after open world task. Every mission could be interchangeable with another, and oftentimes you will do the same game mode over and over and over and over and over and over again. The same handful of missions repeated for countless hours of tedious grind. The game gives me no reason, literally zero reasons to care about anything that is going on around me. At times, it feels like the game doesn't even take itself seriously. You know what the big bad of the story is? His name's fucking Jeffrey. How am I supposed to be afraid of Jeffrey? The voice acting actively pulls me out of the story at times and makes me laugh at how ridiculous it is. Some characters' voices are way over the top, some are way underdone, and some talk like they're in an anime.
Ah, if that's so, that's good news. There aren't any usable Colossi remains around here, so we can finally catch our breath.
Actually, there is one. A while ago, there was an executioner which failed in an intercept attempt and ended up somewhere in this swamp. This is Vulgus territory, and I wasn't in a position to go after it at the time, so I left it.
Ah, damn it. I guess there was no way of knowing it could be used for this. We need to find the location of the remnants. I'm gonna blow them up so that nobody can use them.
I get that the game is from a Chinese company, so there's probably some translation errors somewhere mixed in here, some misdirections, some translation errors caused by that. But seriously, who talks like this?
All of these were used by Aemon when he created Alzarok.
Are you saying Jeremy is creating a super strong Vulgus that will obey him? I would have expected bigger things from that traitor.
Perhaps, as he already has Arcane, he may be attempting to fuse his own body with that of a Vulgus, spawning a new being. Those of Esimo's men who were won over by Jeremy were strongly taken by his words, fully believing what he said. However, there is one thing Jeremy hasn't been able to obtain yet.
So you would think that the characters would be interesting and engaging to offset this boring and bland story, but no, not really. Just like with the missions, the characters in this game are completely flat, uninteresting, and interchangeable. Each descendant has some lore that is given to you in a biography that you have to open on the Descendants page. I actually personally love this. I think it's a very nice touch. And this little act does go a long way in fleshing out what is a very bland, boring, unoriginal world. These biographies, they give you a small background story about each descendant and explains their quote unquote exclusive equipment, which is how each descendant has their unique power. And I personally really appreciate this. It's a really small thing, but it does go a really long way in fleshing out this brand new world that people haven't had the chance to explore yet. Many of these stories are generic. You know, they boil down to your stereotypes of I signed up to protect my family. I signed up because everyone I love died. I signed up to prove myself, etc., etc. But that's sort of to be expected when you have so many characters in a story. And I don't think it's a huge deal. That is certainly the least of the concerns that this game has in terms of storytelling. To me, though, the real sin is not placed in the backgrounds of the characters. Like, I can appreciate the effort given to each character and having their own unique backstory, but it's just in how generic so many characters look. And I know this isn't necessarily a story component, but I think it's important. Let me get into this. So let's just look at some of these characters. Maybe it's just me, but all of the characters are just painfully generic and bland. All the guys just look like generic military bros with maybe a few exceptions like Ajax and Ultimate Lepic. And maybe you can count Blair with that. And I think all the girls are just barely dressed, wearing skin-tight suits or just showing off their hoo-has. Like, I don't care about Kyle or Sharon. Give me someone unique looking with a name that actually grabs my attention, like Ajax or Bunny. So many of these characters are forgettable and uninteresting aesthetically to the point where I don't give a shit about their story because they're bland, boring, basic, and just kind of looks the same. Ajax looks interesting. His name grabs my attention, so I want to learn more about him. Bunny looks interesting, and her name grabs my attention, so I want to learn more about her. Hell, even Blair, with a boring-ass name like Blair, at least looks decent compared to everybody else in this game. His design would be generic and boring in literally any other game, but it actually is somewhat unique compared to everybody else, so it kind of makes me interested in his story. He's just different enough for me to not think that he is an awful design. For me, there's nothing here that grabs my attention. Story just feels like a weak filler, forcing you to go down this linear path, down a set of missions that you just do not care about, to force you to get to the next task and unlock the next zone to grind in. The characters are uninteresting and poorly voice acted, making me just not give a crap about them. And frankly, at times, their voice acting is so bad that it annoys me. The only grace found in the story and world building of this game is in the hints of interesting lore you get in the backgrounds of Descendants and in the lore cards that you can find in the journal in the game. And so for that reason, I cannot give the story any higher than a 4. It is below average, lazy, boring, uninspired storytelling, with the lore just being placed hidden deep in menus that you have to actively seek out, and never really given anything interesting to listen to or learn about in the actual missions. So if the story sucks donkey dongs, well, how's the gameplay? Well, I'm happy to say the gameplay is not bad. It's not great by any means. I would say that it's pretty far from great. But I do feel comfortable saying that it's good. Good with a little bit of hesitance. I do have my major gripes with it. At times, it feels as though it doesn't know what style of movement it wants. It has slower, more tactical, Destiny-esque movement where you have to sort of take cover, dodge around, slide, use your barricade, dodge, pop your well, the things you do in Destiny. But it rarely gives you good opportunities to take cover or to hide and reload and regroup. And they also give you this grappling hook, but this thing has a mind of its own, and it is impossible to control. You can't shoot while grappling, dodge rolling, or sprinting, forcing you down that methodical feel, but there is rarely sufficient cover to ever protect yourself or prevent yourself from dying when out in the open, considering the enemies spawn constantly if you're doing a mission by yourself. Grinding by yourself is a death sentence for both your character and your mental state. It will probably leave you frustrated and just straight pissed off. However, this doesn't mean the moment-to-moment gameplay cannot be fun at times. I had a ton of fun zipping around the map, grappling ledges with my grappling hook, slamming the ground as Ajax. And Descendants do feel unique, thankfully enough, with their abilities and passives providing much needed variance in gameplay, even if it does suck trying to level them. I have 15 hours in this game. 17 at the time of me recording this. And my Ajax is only level 31 out of 40. 31! After probably about 17 hours of gameplay is total bullshit. The moment-to-moment gameplay is not bad, but it just gets boring and repetitive, especially after you do it for 5, 10, 15, 20 hours with very little variance in anything that you do. You stand on the point and shoot the bad guys. You kill the guys, plant the bombs. It's just the same activities over and over again, and it just gets boring and repetitive pretty quick. And there are a few things that become repetitive as the boss encounters. Every boss in this game has this exact same annoying ass bullshit shoot 'em in the balls mechanic. Once or twice, that's fine, that's cool, that's whatever. But it's literally every single boss. And it quickly becomes irritating and kills all the momentum going into a boss fight. I don't want to be burning through my ammo on a boss just to be cut off halfway through his health bar to start shooting his big old balls that come spawning in, forcing me to stop, pop each of these balls, and then go back to actually shooting the thing that I want to fucking kill. Even worse, there are variations of the boss's balls. Sometimes his balls will go immune, and you have to wait patiently, as each ball will slowly light up one by one for you to pop it. Sometimes these balls respawn if you don't kill all 3 of them fast enough. Sometimes it's nice and simple and you just blast them down like you would any other trash mob, but at that point it's pointless and annoying to even have the mechanic. I actually think the boss fights are really, really good in this game. Like, crazy good. Except for the stupid balls mechanic. When you're fighting a boss in this game and you're the right level with the right gear, it's exciting. It's fun. It's like fighting a monster in Monster Hunter almost, with different weak points and different destructible parts that make the boss weaker and stunned for a certain amount of time. It's really cool and really good boss fights, and then they go and get an immune phase. And then I want to smash my head into my desk. But probably one of the most important parts in facing a boss, or in any game in this genre, is just understanding that how you get that sweet, sweet, precious loot. And so, I want to start by saying, the loot system in this game is a little odd. And I know that I've already made a dozen comparisons to Destiny 2 and Warframe. But a combination of the two is probably the best way to describe the loot system. For people who understand those two games, played both of those games, it's weird to say that this game has both of those combined in the loot system, but it's true. So, you have about 4 categories of loot. You got your guns, your gear, your mods, and your crafting materials. And the good thing is, all of these loot drops are plentiful, which is amazing for my dopamine-addicted brain. But I want to explain to you this loot system, specifically the guns. So here we go. Blue and purple guns drop in the world. These are your standard, no special effect having weapons. Any weapon above that in rarity must be farmed and crafted. These weapons have effects akin to exotic weapons for Destiny 2. Blues and purples drop to the appropriate level to the content in which you are doing. Kill level 40 boss, get level 40-ish guns. Craft the weapons so exotic and above. In this game, they're called the ultimates. Start at level 1. So if they in future newly crafted ultimate weapon of the blue or purple to get to the appropriate level. In order to do so, you must craft a precision phase exchanger. Not to be used of a regular phase exchanger, which can only upgrade the level of a blue or purple. Obtaining an ultimate weapon functionally renders blues and purples obsolete because they are just weaker without question, and you can equip any number of ultimate weapons you want. I didn't even mention the crafting timers. Everything you craft, like those ultimate weapons and those precision phase exchangers that you need in order to upgrade your gear, will be placed on a crafting timer. Ultimate weapons seem to only have a few hours in their crafting timer, which is better than Warframe. And Descendants only take about like 12-ish, 24-ish hours in that range, which is still better than Warframe. But I still just, as a principle, don't understand. I know why they included these, because people are impatient and they'll pay for the timers to go by. But like, this is one of the biggest gripes Warframe has had since its inception. People have complained about this in Warframe forever, and it has literally stopped new players from furthering the game. So I don't know why they decided to include this. It was just stupid. And even in Warframe, I hate these stupid crafting timers, but whatever. I just wanted to throw that crafting timer thing in there quickly. But eventually, over time, you will get your ultimate weapons, and you'll get your blues and your purples, and you'll get your shield mod, you'll get your shield slots, and yada, 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 your descendants. But over time, your weapons will start to feel obsolete, like you're throwing spaghetti against a brick wall. So how do you go about fixing that? How do you make your guns actually feel useful again? By modding them. So, in a screen that is eerily similar to Warframe, using mechanics that are quite literally identical to Warframe modding, you get to mod your weapons and descendants to make sure that they stay up to snuff. Somehow, they made modding more confusing than Warframe modding, which again is a new player turnoff. So, I'm going to explain some of these mods, or ask questions about some of these mods. What's the difference between a singular skill power and skill power? If a mod says it makes my defense go up by 16%, what does that mean? What is my base defense? Is that a flat 16%? So if my defense is already 100%, does that mean I'm at 116%? Or does it make my 100 level defense go up to 116 defense, which is not a percentage-based damage reduction? Does the fire enhancement mod add 8% of my unmodified or my currently modified firearm attack stat to my damage? I mean, just look at some of these mods and see if you can just piece together what they actually do for me, because I'm fucking confused. Coming from a Warframe player, I'm used to confusing modding, right? It took me, I have almost 700 hours in a Warframe, and I still don't fully understand the modding system. But I would say that First Descendant modding is way worse than Warframe modding, which is crazy to actually mention, because Warframe modding is not something that's easy to do or understand. And I think this game suffers a lot from confusing systems and confusing mechanics. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that doesn't really get explained super well. I mean, maybe I skipped the menu too fast, or maybe I clicked through something I shouldn't have clicked through. But I still don't know what weapon proficiencies do or what they are. I still don't 100% know what the mastery level is. I assume it's exactly like Warframe mastery level, but I don't actually know. But it's just stuff like this that they don't explain super well. There's still a bunch of crafting recipes that I can craft that I don't know what do. Probably haven't crafted any. But this isn't even the worst of it. Okay, the worst thing in this game is the fact that there is no character customization, like at all, unless you are willing to fork over some serious cash. Sure, you can get a few free cosmetics from Twitch drops and from the Battle Pass, but they're pretty lame. And also, you can't use the free colors that you get unless you already own a skin from the shop. So, for example, the Battle Pass gives you a hot pink color, but you can't use that free hot pink color unless you go into the shop and buy one of the skins. So it's useless until you buy something. And so I don't think the gameplay of the First Descendant is bad. It's not amazing, but it's really not bad. It has very enjoyable moments. It has points that actually grab me and hold my attention and make me want to keep playing. The game knows how to throw loot at you, and it really makes you just want to keep playing to get that next shiny toy over and over again. But the gameplay can also be irritating, annoying, and the grinding that is in this game is some of the worst grinding I've ever had to endure. Running the same 10-minute mission over and over and over again, probably about 12 times to get a 20% drop chance item because the drop pools are so freaking bloated. At least when you're farming a Warframe in Warframe, you got a 33.33% chance of each part. At least when you're farming a gun in Destiny 2, you're getting like dozens of guns along the way. In this game, you're not getting dozens of ultimate guns along the way. You're not getting anything interesting along the way, really. You're getting jank crafting materials and things that aren't really what you want along the way. So I would say that this game tries to combine the feel of Destiny 2 and Warframe together, and in the end, it does neither justice. And so I think the gameplay overall has to be a 6 out of 10. So I would have to say that the best part of the First Descendant is the fact that it's free to play. So there's no harm in testing it out. You can download it right now, try it out for free, see if you like it, then bounce or stick around if you don't. There's a cash shop in the game, which is to be expected of free-to-play games. And I don't knock points for that. That's to be expected, and that's fully understandable and reasonable to me. And thankfully, the Cash App only has cosmetics, boosters, and the ability to buy Descendants. But Warframe has the same thing where you can buy Warframes in the shop. So it's not that big a deal because you can still get Descendants through just grinding. You don't have to buy them. And so it's not that big of a deal. There's nothing in the shop that is exclusive to the shop that is not a cosmetic or a booster. Anything that affects your power, you can get in-game. So there's nothing crazy, nothing game-breaking, and all the Descendants that you can buy in the shop, you can just earn them in the game. So I don't think a purchasable option is a bad thing. I would say it's a good thing. There is a Battle Pass, which always sucks and should have died out forever ago. I'm so sick of every game having a Battle Pass. I don't even get FOMO from Battle Passes anymore. I just expect to get 3 tiers and never touch the game again. And probably the worst part about this Battle Pass is that you earn premium currency in the Battle Pass. But you don't earn enough premium currency to buy next season's pass. You earn 300, but a pass costs 500. If you're going to give me currency in the Battle Pass, make sure it is enough to buy the next season's Battle Pass. Because otherwise, it feels like a spit in the face, and it just makes me mad because now I have this weird amount of currency that's barely enough for a skin. And so next season, now I have to spend money to get enough currency to buy the pass, and I don't want to do that. And since I'm talking about buying currency, this game, just like every other free-to-play game, has those super awkward, uneven currency values to buy, so that way you cannot just spend $5 and get 500 currency. You spend $5 and you get 525. But if you spend $10, you get 1122. And if you spend $25, you get $23.30, but something in the shop will cost $12.25. So you either have to buy $10 worth twice or just buy the $20 worth. It's a better value anyway. And I'm tired of the stupid exchange rate currency bullshit that all these free-to-play games do. Just let me either buy the thing outright or have have $10 of currency be $10 of real money and make it a flat value that is worth $10 of something in the game. It pisses me off. I don't want uneven amounts of currency. I want exact amounts. I want to know, all right, this skin's $15. Let me spend $15 on it. Or let me buy a 10er and a 5er and nothing else. These are standard predatory practices built into every free-to-play game. So this game is not anything special. It's not extra predatory. It's just basic free-to-play predatory. And so there's nothing game-breaking. And there's nothing bullshit about it. Because like I said, the only thing in the shop is just currencies, cosmetics, crafting boosters, stuff like that. There's nothing big in there that you can't earn in-game. So it's not a big deal because I'm never going to buy currency anyway. But it's just something I'm done with. It's something I'm so tired of in every single free-to-play game. So, technically speaking, by just downloading this game and playing it for 5 seconds, you get enough bang for your buck because there is no buck to bang in order to play this game. Price-wise, I have to give the game an 8 because although it's free to play, which should automatically earn a 10 out of 10 with price value, right? It does contain so many of the annoying bullshit free-to-play predatory practices that have persisted throughout the free-to-play genre for the past 10 years. But if you're a gamer on a budget, there's no harm in trying this game out. I would say play Warframe instead, but I understand that Warframe is not everybody's cup of tea because it plays very differently from this game. So I think this is the best chance to have a Warframe experience without a Warframe. So where does that leave the First Descendant? I think the First Descendant is just another mediocre game in a genre that is just already littered with too many mediocre games. It takes almost its entire identity from the games that have come before it, like Warframe and Destiny 2, specifically those two games. And so taking everything from those two games leaves no room for innovation or creative systems in this game. It's bland. It's boring. It feels like I've already played it for over 1,000 hours because I have played Destiny 2 and Warframe combined for over 1,000 hours. If I wanted to play a game like them, I would just play them. The gameplay is pretty uninspired. Nothing unique about it, really. But it does feel decent. It's not bad. I think the story is an absolute snooze fest, full of forgettable names and locations. The value offered is good for what it is. It does offer you a full looter shooter experience for free, with an asterisk next to the free part because the shop has some interesting choices in it. And so I would say that brings the First Descendant to an overall rating of 6 ultimate bunnies out of 10.